right, we're going to discuss the main timer function. The main timer function is called timer handler, and during initialization of the program, and I'm in player.c in the main root area, player.cpp is the Windows root, there's a call to the glib function gtimeout add seconds. This creates a timer. The first argument is the number of seconds, and the value of that defined symbol is 1. So it's once every second. And then you give the name of the function. The function is called timer handler. And then you give any parameter that's going to be passed to it. What I'm passing to it is a pointer to a structure, and the structure contains pointers to data in other threads. I don't use it very much, but when you're running multiple threads, data in one thread is not necessarily available to other threads. So that's a way of communicating across the barrier. All right, so every time it's called, the value of widgets and the associated structure will be passed. It's a single second timer. You'll notice another one down here doesn't say the same. It's gtimeout add, and that's milliseconds. That function doesn't runs much more quickly, but it only runs for a short period of time. It only runs once, I think. Anyway, timer handler is the function, and what it does is timer handler updates the times on the display. You'll see here we have the time of day, which is incrementing, and the day of the year and that sort of thing. Number of minutes to the top of the hour, which is basically this value here subtracted from 60. The Q, which is the time of day when the next song can be played. Since nothing's playing, that's constantly updating because you can play something right away. So those times get updated. The times over here in the panels also get updated. You'll see they're clocking up because nothing's playing, nothing's fixed. The central number is the number of seconds the file will take to play. So that's another set of times that are updated. And also it queues the programs. If you're in program mode, it queues things up and plays them. So it comes in once a second, checks to see if anything needs to be played, does some housekeeping, and then ends and goes back to whatever was going on. So timer handler is down here is where it is. It's a function in player.c. Timer handler, there's widgets coming in. All right. GDK threads enter. That prevents more than one thread from entering this section at a time. It's to keep threads from tripping over one another, which they do occasionally. There's not too much chance of it, but nonetheless it's there. Scan in progress. Scan in progress is a flag. If it's on, we simply return true. This function is a Boolean. If you return true, it means you want the timer to continue running. If you return false, it cancels the timer. So the true here is going, the returns here are all going to be true. The scan is if I go over here and I hit scan media. Well, let's go to program. What it's going to do is it scans through the media looking for times. You see out here there's no times. It only does the first page or so. And if you've got a large number of them, that's so things get started quicker. But if you actually want to get all the times, you hit scan media, and it's now scanned them all. And we've got the times for everybody going out into the distant future. All right. So yeah, that's what scan media does. And if you come down here in the scan in progress, we don't want to do anything. We're not starting programs or anything like that. We just return true and wait until it scans over. The first time you're down here, that's another flag. It's setting up in the main routine. Some things that are done only once the first time. We turn the flag off. We turn on a couple of toggle buttons. One of them is the tower toggle button, and the other is the tower circles. This is as though I had manually checked the boxes. It creates signals as a result, and it turns them on. And those are the signals that are associated with, let's get this over here. We go to settings, and we go over here. Here's tower, and you can see that's tower and tower circles. Down here is the other one. So what we're doing there is setting a default. We're turning on what the audio display will look like, and that gives you this display here with the tower, and when things play, the circles around the tower. All right, update times. That causes the times on the panel, on the tiles, to be updated. Sets the initial volume level for the playback. Let's see, max audio sample sets it to 0. If this is 0, it means the automatic gain, if turned on, can increase the gain. If it's set to 1, it means we've seen a maximum sample and AGC1 can't increase it anymore. It may decrease, but it won't increase. If you turn on AGC2, AGC2 may turn this signal off, allowing AGC1 to turn things up again. But initially we start off with the assumption that once you reach a peak, you don't go any higher. And that's what that says. Hide label, the wait label. The wait label is when you first come up, and it's over here, you see initializing. That occurs only when, until first time is finished. It's just basically saying we're doing housekeeping, don't click anything yet. And so when we're done with the housekeeping, we hide the label and it never comes back on again. All right, now we've done that. The next thing down here, either the first time or subsequent times, we update the sliders for the playlists. This is one of the sliders here, and the other one is over here. They are linked, so if you move one, the other one moves too. All right, so we update the sliders, and we also change the color of the gain button down here. No, it's not a button, it's a label. The gain, it will be turned, the background will be turned red or a green, indicating we're increasing or decreasing. And it's just messy color code, so I put it into a header file. All right, if VLC is not playing, all right, VLC function tells us if the VLC player is playing. If it's not playing, we turn off the movie panel, which may not have been used anyway, but we turn it off if it's not playing. If skip current, we've got two skips. We've got this skip and we've got skip plus plus. This one here skips the current file. I'm going to actually click the program. I've got the volume turned down, so I probably will. I hope I don't get into trouble. So there's a file playing. So if I hit skip, it will advance to the next one. All right, I hit skip and it advances to the next one and so forth. Now let me go to edit, which basically has the same information. You see here in the queue, Houndmouth Golden Age is the one that will play after the one I'm currently playing. I'm currently playing Lord Euron Meet Me in the Woods, and Houndmouth Golden Age is queued. If I hit skip plus plus, it'll change the thing in the queue. Watch what happens over here watch right over here, the checkbox next to Houndmouth. So I'm going to hit skip plus plus, and you notice the checkbox was unchecked, meaning that it's either has been played or is not to be played. So the one to follow your Lord Euron changes to Avett Brothers' Morning Song, and you see that's what's over here. So skip plus plus affects the thing that's in the queue. Skip affects the thing that's currently playing. So if I hit this, we're going to move to Avett Brothers, and we skip the intermediate ones that were. All right, so I can halt all there, so we don't have that going on in the background. All right, so if it's skip current, that's the plain old skip, the first skip. We turn it off and we hit VLC stop, which causes VLC to stop. If we're in program mode, very quickly, program mode will start the next file. Right down here, as a matter of fact. Well, right here. If it's in program mode, we will quickly start a file. But initially, the action for a skip is to kill what's currently playing. Skip plus plus. Again, we turn off the flag once we've done it. We run a function which does what you saw. It unchecks the box for the thing that was queued, and it makes the one behind it or after it the next queued. So there is skip and skip plus plus. Now we got two pauses here. We've got pause at end, and we've got VLC player pause. Pause at end actually shows up as wait at end here. When you click wait at end in program mode, it means that when it gets to the end of this file, it'll wait. You can talk and do whatever you want. And when you unclick wait at end, you'll see it's it's toggled in and out. When you once you want it to start up again, you click it and program mode will resume. So that's wait at end. The other one here is, let's just play something. Let me see. This is the pause over here, and when I click it, you see it freezes. That's freeze frame. That's freeze the player. All right. This is freeze at end. This is or wait at end. This is freeze the player. And when I click it back and forth, it doesn't show a toggle. I should fix that, but it's pretty obvious what it's doing. It is. You can see it's frozen, so you probably guessed that pause has been hit. I got to get these things colored up. I don't like the colors at wait at end either. But all right, so we can halt that. All right, so that's the. Those are the two pauses, and they have an effect here. If we're in program mode, we show the label program mode. If we're not, we hide the label program mode. Where is the label program mode, you ask? It is, I think it's in here. Yes, there it is. Auto, which you can see has a name over there. Program mode. It's a label, and it's auto with a sort of purple color to it. And when you're so in other words, when you're in program mode, auto will appear there. If you're not in program mode, it won't appear there. So it's just an indicator that you're in program mode. Not much more. All right. If play program means we're in program mode. It's part of a structure, but it's a flag. If it's true, we're in program mode. And if we're not, pause at end. Why is that? Because this section down here starts the next file. If for some reason we're not, something's not playing, it'll start something playing. So if we're at pause at end, we don't want to do anything. We're just going to wait. Nothing gets started. It will just fall through here, do any other housekeeping, update the clocks, and we'll come back in another second. So if pause at end, which is that button, is on, we won't go in here. But if it's not on, which is usually the case, wait at end is probably not done very much. And if we're in program mode, we'll come down here and we make sure the queued song is visible. Next play is over here. These things awfully wide. I wish there was. I like Glade, but boy, sometimes when you get, it doesn't fit on the screen. All right, we go over here. This is current file, and this is next play. You can see the names over here. This is the thing queued. This is the thing currently playing. All right, so next play, it just makes sure it's visible. All right, because it can get turned off in other places, and this may be the first time in here. If it's already visible, it doesn't hurt anything. It's not a big function. All right, okay, now we get the other pause flag. If the video player is not paused and VLC is not playing, all right, so we've got a situation where the video player might be paused. Okay, we're not advancing while the video player is paused. You've got to unpause the video player before we advance to the next file. And the video player is probably not paused very often. If VLC is not playing, so if it's not paused and not playing, we come down here and we basically play something. First of all, we find out what's going to be played next, which will scan through looking for the next item in the array, and it is an array which contains pointers to the strings that are the full file reference of the files to be played. Next selection returns us that index. If it returns us less than 0, it means there are no more. We've played everything. In which case we turn off the program mode. We turn off pause at end if for some reason it's on, because we are at this. We're not coming back here. And we hide program mode. The auto goes away. Okay, so that's the case where we've played everything. Alternatively, you could just change the code here and turn everything back on again, play from the beginning. But so I said when you get to the end, there's nothing left that hasn't been played, you halt. That could be altered. Otherwise, you print out to the console, if it was started from a console, timer says play, and then you give the string holding the file that's going to be played. Play this is in the data structure, and it's been, next selection has done this. It's put in there the string of what it is we're going to play. Then we call VLC start, and that starts playing it. All right, so we were in program mode. We discovered something wasn't playing, and we weren't paused, so we started playing something. All right, so that advances us. If we're not in program mode, we check to see if we're not in program, and we see if play clip is active. Play clip is when I just hit one of these. I'm going to hit Old Dominion here, play, and it starts. That's play clip. It plays in a single file. We're not in program mode. It just plays a single file. Okay, so if we're not in program mode and play clip is activated, we deactivate pause at end. If for some reason it got turned on, we turn it off, make sure it's off, because we're not pausing at the end. We're only playing one file. Skip current is set to 0. Play clip is set to 0. Clear the players, which basically is another way of calling VLC stop and any other players that might be running. And we call VLC start. VLC start, play clip hitting the play button went to some code that has already put has put the thing they need to play into playlist. Okay, it's already been SP playlist was set up when we hit the play. So I can just call VLC start. It will already the thing to be played is already in the string, and that'll play it. Okay, let's see if the VLC is not flagged. If not paused, if the video itself is not paused, and the VLC is playing, we're going to do some checking to see if the audio is too loud, that sort of thing. So we look at the last 10 samples, the most recent 10 samples from Pulse Audio, and they were picked up someplace else and they're discussed in a different video. And we find out what the maximum of the last 10 right channel and left channel samples were. Find the maximum. We set clipping to 0, left clipping and right clipping. If Lmax is greater than the clip level, we set clipping to 1. Yes, left is clipping, right is clipping. And then depending which is greater than the other, we set current CUR level, that variable, equal to the larger of the two. And we call AGC adjust. AGC adjust goes down there and decides if it needs to do anything. Is AGC turned on? What kind of AGC we're running? What it should do? But that function handles the issue of we may be clipping and whether it should do anything. It might not do anything. Now we get into all the messy timer stuff, which is messy. We got a bunch of structures. We got the time function. We get the we set the local. We get the local time function on the time. We get time t. Tx comes back. We pass the address of tx to local time. We fill in the structure TOD. We pull out the ASCII time. Let's see. We chop. I think it has a new line at the end of it. We chop it off here. And then we set the label, time of day. There's a bunch of these timer labels out here. And let's go back over here and look for them. Time of day, I think that's it there. That's the one which gives you the current time of day. There's going to be a bunch of these. I'm not going to really spend too much time on them because they're tedious and they're pretty obvious. So that sets the time of day. These are not in use here. I'll extract the second, minute, and hour because they're used with a graphical clock, which I don't presently have running. I wonder if the clock is actually on the desktop. I ran out of space to put it. There's the clock here. That's the clock, okay? And that can be turned on in the code. But as it turns out, I really didn't have a lot of space to put it, so I removed it. But I might put it back in, so we are pulling out those variables. And if it's put in, they use those variables. Let's see, we got the Unix time. Time since the beginning of the universe, which is 1970, as everyone knows. It was 1970. Anyway, we set up, we get local time, we get a pointer to the structure. Okay, then we're time to top of hour. It's basically time to top, we're essentially subtracting the hour time from the number of minutes past the hour from 60, and that gives us the time to the top of hour, and we update the label accordingly. Update times causes the tiles to be updated. We did it during first time, but we're going to do it every time to make sure the tiles are all updated. This is they're not, these two are not especially related, but update times does use the current time of day. All right, down here, what are we doing now? Show in decrement play clock as needed. If we're playing, then we're going to calculate the part we're calculating. I think I killed the player down here. All right, See, there's the initializing. There it goes away. All right. If I play something, old Dominion again. You see this red bar here starting to move, this slider, and you see the time over here, the percentage we've played. The bar is moving. If you actually drag the bar, you can actually move through the file. You have to drag it. But anyway, and also up here in 114 seconds, 13 seconds, 12 seconds. Whereas if I drag it further, it's less seconds. If I drag it further back to the beginning, the seconds change. So these are the times we're talking about. How many seconds until it ends, and the progress and the percentage. All right, let's halt all and get that out of sight. And we get two functions here, which return as milliseconds. The amount currently played versus the duration. They're VLC functions that you call, and they give me 2 times. With those times, let's see, if VLC is not playing, I'll just put a 0 down there. If VLC is playing, if I've got a value here, time remaining, and then this is if time remaining is greater than 0, then I'll update it in, so it'll say in X seconds. There is the in X seconds, that's the one that appears right here, but it's not showing now because we have got nothing playing. Let me play something, and you see there in 240. So all right, so that's that one. Otherwise we set it empty if there's nothing to be played. And let's see, this is the time of day when the next file can be played, which again gets the timing, adds the time of day, adds the time remaining. So if we've got 20 seconds remaining, we add it to the time of day, and then we extract out, ctime returns a string, and it's got subportions of it, and you notice I got dummy, 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 dummy. And the one that's actually the last one standing, the one that actually gets filled in last, is the number of seconds to the next. I think that's number of seconds. Time next. Let's see, we're up to, well, this comes in through a widget. This is probably, it's not, and it was widgets up here, so these are coming in from the outside world. I want otherwise the data's not available because it's in a different thread. But I update that. All right, I'm not going to go, whatever what that is. But this dummy, the one that dummy finally gets is the value I want, Q, and that's the. Let's see, what is Q? It has to be in program mode to get Q. Well, I don't actually have to be in program mode. Q is constantly here. It's the time of day when the next one can be played. Anyway, you get other things from ctime, which I think is the day of the week, the month, all of that stuff. And so I think it's the last one that it gets filled. It becomes the value of dummy. I'm not real sure, but it's one of those. And that gives me the time. Tn being adjusted by the current time plus the time remaining, and we pass it down, we get the strings, and we print up when you can next possibly play something. And we set the label. Down here is the title business. Let's see, this is this SGR St. John's Island up here. That is in a file called titles.txt in the main player directory. And once every 5 seconds, modulo the time of day. It'll go out there and read it, and it will read the first line, and it will set that label at the top, this label up here, will set that to be whatever it reads first. So it's up to you to make sure it's not too long and so forth. It doesn't check. You could adjust the, if you go into player.glade, you could adjust the size of the font if you wanted to make things different. But anyway, that's every 5 seconds. And let's see. Display queued section. Let's see what if we're in play program. Okay, this is we're looking for the thing to be queued. That's be queued after we're currently playing. Only if we're in program mode, and we've got a function that goes out there and gets the value, and then we massage the value, chopping off the .mp3 or .mp4. We maximize the length of it, so it can't be more than 85 characters long, so it'll fit. Otherwise, it'll overlap. And then we set what the next play, the thing to be queued. We set it to that value. So that it basically gets the string of what's going to be played next. We go out there find next locates the next playable file. It doesn't check it. There's another one that checks it. It's almost the identical function, but this one doesn't check it or uncheck it, as it were. But it gets me the string that is going to be played next. It says next random because once upon a time it was actually going through a random number function. And I never changed the variable name. The word random has nothing to do with it. It's just a leftover. It should be changed, but so should a lot of things after a while. Anyway, otherwise we just put down nothing. Just put down the word Q. Again, if you're in program mode, and we're not in program mode. So, all right. This is massaging the thing that's currently playing. And we go and look for dots, we look for backslashes, we find the part that's after the last backslash, we eliminate the part that's after the last dot. And we make sure that we chop it at 85, same as above, and then we set the other one. This is the current play gets set here. All right. This business down here is we set last playing to -1. This basically goes down here and determines whether or not increments the count of whether you've played something, which we don't use anywhere in here. So if now playing is equal to not equal to -1, in other words, we are playing something. I mean, we've got a file. Now playing will be the index number of the thing that's playing. And if now playing is not equal to last playing, we make last playing equal to now playing. We increment the count. In other words, what has happened here? Something's changed. What was the currently playing song is no longer the currently playing song for one reason or another. The count is not used. It's possible to go out there and print how many times you've played something in a given session, but I don't do it anymore. I did it one time, but that's the value. It's the array that's got it. All right, then we get down to this question of whether to shuffle things around. And no move means the tiles and the edit rows will not be moved. They are going to stay static. The other one there is whether they recenter or they don't recenter. So if you want the current one to be at the top of the screen, or do you want the currently playing one to be at the middle of the screen in these tiles? And the problem is you have to have played quite a few of them. So when I go over here and I say play program, it's if I do this enough times, I don't know what it's actually the default is. So I'm just skipping through these things. At some point, as I'm advancing, it's going down. You see it change there? See it start moving the thing up? So it's set, apparently the default is set so it centers. If you didn't want it to center, there's a setting to make it not center. And I'm not going to go there and find it, but it's there someplace. It's a minor thing, but it shows whether or not to reorganize. And there's a check in the settings as to don't move anything. Just let things sit, and that's no move. So if you turn on no move, we will not readjust this display in any fashion. So it's a question of whether or not the item playing is going to be at the top of the edit list or at the beginning of the tiles list, or whether it's centered to be at the middle. The default is middle, apparently. Or if you don't want any movement, as things play, they'll just go off screen. The thing playing will not be on the currently visible tiles. There is a reason for that, but I don't want to get into it. It has to do with if you're scanning for files and you're adjusting, you don't want every time a new item plays, you don't want the thing to jump back to the beginning. So if you want things to leave it there while you're looking for something further down in the playlist, you would turn on the no move. But it's not really necessary anymore because you've got the lower panel down here for program searching. It does not move. When it plays a new song up here, and I'll start the program, you see, something started there, but this guy down here didn't move. All right, this guy did. It recentered itself, but this guy down here didn't. So, and we hit halt all. All right. Let's see, and then we say bye. We GTK threads leave, and wonder if I DGK threads, whether I turned it off up here when in first time. I probably didn't. I just thought of that. It's dynamic programming, folks. There's GTK main, there's timer. Yeah, that's because I do that before I first time doesn't return, but this guy returns. Sorry. So I don't know if it hurts anything, but apparently it hasn't because nobody's complained, at least that I know of. Oops. Oh, stop hitting you. I'm hitting the undo key here. Open. And all right. So that's yeah. So the threads were the enter was up here. So that's the only place you can do it. I believe a premature return. So if there's another one, I'll look for it later. And we go over here and see that it's compilable. And it is. Let's try running it. Oh, this one started separately, but let me redo that. Yeah, it's up to date, so Linux is funny about that. Thing was running, but I was altering the actual executable. You see a bunch of spurious error messages that various messages pop up like this. Well, that's a tooltip. I got to go find that, finding the missing. It's an assertion that a tooltip it exists, and it doesn't. And it doesn't hurt anything. GTK throws that. Those are messages being thrown out by libvlc. It loves to do that. I don't know what they mean. It doesn't hurt anything. That's a previous execution up there. So anyway, we're up here, and so it's scan media. Yeah, there's messages popping out of VLC. I don't know what they are. I've tried looking them up. They obviously don't hurt anything because I get what I want, which is you see the numbers are updated there. So we go back. Current takes you, if something's playing, current will take you to the current item that's playing. If for some reason you've moved around, and so if I go out here and play that, okay, and it moved it to the front. I forgot, so that's not going to do anything. So yeah, that should have been there. I missed that. All right, so that's the main timer. It's responsible for the program mode, and it's also responsible for putting up all those little times. And anything you want checked on a regular basis would be here. For example, this is where the AGC is invoked. So AGC is updated once a second. It's not a fast update. So it's not like a real AGC, which would be updating in milliseconds. This only checks the volume once every second. So the amount you move the AGC should not be very large, but it works fine. It works extremely well. The principal thing with the AGC is you want to the AGC1, the first AGC, is the one that's should be used the most. There are two of them here, and I'm talking about a different subject here. But if I go to settings, we got AGC1, AGC2, and AGC. Let me just start something here. Start that one there. We go to settings. If I turn on AGC1, it found a peak. So this was already pretty loud, and now it's locked. It won't go any higher. It found a peak for this item that's playing, and so it will not go any higher. If I turn on AGC2 and it sees that it's below that peak, it'll start in there. Found it again, and now it's found a peak. So it goes. This allows it to go up and down, and the colors change. If you only do that one, it will. As soon as it finds a peak, it stops. It can go down, but it won't go any higher. And a lot of music, of course, is equalized such that a peak is a peak. You don't want to dynamically keep changing it, but that's the way they work. But anyway, that's done once, and as you can see, it's actually being happening about once a second. There's values there. Well, it's not changing at the moment because everything's within range of what's considered desirable. All right, we'll call it for that video.